Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we're going to be doing the 1973 martial arts classic, Enter the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee, John Saxon, and Jim Kelly. For those of you joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club, it's like a book club, where in each week we'll discuss a different forgotten classic, guilty pleasure, and you can respond to it online. You can reach me through Twitter at KD9575. Go ahead and subscribe to our page on YouTube. It's free. Just click a button. That's YouTube, KD9575. Also, click the thumbs up button on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. So here we go. Enter the Dragon. In this movie, Mr. Lee, played by Bruce Lee, he's like a martial artist, formerly from a Shaolin temple, who is contacted by, I guess, the British government to invade the secret island of a criminal mastermind, Mr. Han, who they suspect of doing all sorts of dastardly deeds, including opium selling and smuggling. So he agrees to go there, and he's under the guise of participating in a special martial arts tournament that they do there every year. So he's on his way there. Also, you've got Mr. Roper, who's another martial artist, but he's got kind of a gambling problem. He's escaping from, I guess, the mafia for his gambling debts, but he's also a special martial artist, so he's going there to participate in the tournament. Then there's Williams, another martial artist, but this one's from the mean streets of the ghetto, who, before he leaves, gets into a tussle with the cops. So now he's on the run, also going down to participate in the tournament. So we get there. It's a massive island with these temples and ancient buildings, but an army of martial artists. All the guards are martial artists. Everybody's martial artists. Evidently nobody carries any guns of any kind. They just use their fists to do their talking. Bruce Lee is there for another reason. We discover that the bodyguard of evil Mr. Han was involved in Bruce Lee's sister's demise. We see that in the flashback earlier. So this time it's personal for Mr. Lee. So, I don't want to give everything away. I don't want to spoil the plot. But there's lots of martial arts going on here, as you might imagine. Before the end of the movie, I don't want to spoil everything. Spoiler alert. Williams is dead, I'm sad to say. He goes hand to hand with Mr. Han. And he meets his demise. Roper, who up to this point was just in it for himself, he's able to step up and help out Mr. Lee. Mr. Han, for some reason, has like a jail cell full of old drunken men. I don't know why they're old drunken men just wandering the island, but Bruce Lee frees them. They come help battle the armies of Mr. Han. One thing leads to another. They're victorious. Good times. Spoiler alert, by the way. I love this movie. It is great. It's a classic. This is actually the first and only American martial arts film that Bruce Lee was involved in. Obviously, he did, a multitude of movies prior to that in China. And he actually had another movie come out. He was in the process of filming a movie when he died later. And they actually finished that movie with like a crazy stunt double wearing like sunglasses so you couldn't really see his face the entire time. He actually died a few, like 3 weeks before Enter the Dragon actually came to the theaters. So there you go. Kind of crazy. Things you may not know. Famed martial artists Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan make small appearances in this movie. Sammo Hung, he's in the opening scene with Bruce Lee, where it's kind of an MMA thing at the temple they're practicing. Jackie Chan, if you blink, you'll miss him. He comes up behind Bruce Lee. He's one of the palace guards. Attacks him from behind. Bruce Lee grabs him by the head, kicks another dude, whoosh, and then breaks his neck off camera. Well, he makes one of those Bruce Lee faces. In one scene, they actually clock that Bruce Lee manages to kill 50 guys with his bare hands. Amazing. Amazing. He's like a secret agent, but he's a martial artist. Doesn't use any special gadgets. He doesn't need to. His hands are his weapon. Okay? Another thing that's kind of interesting, like I said, Jackie Chan was in this, and is actually a stunt double for Bruce Lee in a couple scenes. And one scene where he's fighting, Bruce Lee accidentally hits him in the head with like a stick or something. And Bruce apologizes up and down, and he goes to Jackie and he says, you know what, I like what you're doing here, kid. I promise I'm going to use you in my next movie. Sadly, he didn't have many more opportunities to invite Jackie to appear in any of his movies, because as we know, he died soon after this one was made. Another thing I found interesting, Williams was originally supposed to survive all the way to the end, and Roper was the one who was supposed to die earlier. But John Saxon was a bigger star than Jim Kelly at this time, so the agent actually had them rewrite the script and switch it. John Saxon, you may have seen him, and he was the dad in Nightmare on Elm Street. He had a brief role in From Dusk Till Dawn. Jim Kelly, not to be confused with the former Buffalo Bills quarterback, was in a lot of black exploitation movies from the 70s. He was Black Belt Jones. He was Three the Hard Way. He didn't do that many movies. I think he did like 15 movies over the course of his career, because although he had a lot of martial arts ability, acting ability, a little shaky. He's the only person, I guess, in history who had the honor of being a martial arts, he was a karate champion, and also went on to be a tennis champion, which is kind of crazy. In fact, if you want to take tennis lessons, he still teaches lessons in Southern California, so look him up. Speaking of tennis, in the opening scenes, actually not the opening scenes, in the first scenes we see of Mr. Han's training facility, where all the guys are kind of going, ha, ha, ha. If you look, they're actually doing it on a tennis court. And you can still see the lines on the ground where the tennis was supposed to be played. So there you go. It was a grass court. That's how they do it. Another thing, this is actually one of the only movies that Bruce Lee was dubbed with his own natural speaking voice. Most of the other voices, they used a different actor's voice. I don't know what the deal is. Evidently, this movie, the entire movie was dubbed for whatever reason. I guess the sound quality wasn't that great, so they went back and redubbed everything. It has all those special martial arts. Every time somebody hits a punch, it's really, you might want to turn down your speakers when you watch this movie. Every time somebody falls, it's the exact same sound. It's like that, every time. There's a lot of guys falling. And then, of course, the bone snapping. It's typically when Bruce Lee jumps on some guy, you hear him go, ah! And then like somebody's literally just cracking kindling in their hands. It is ridiculous. But it's great at the same time. You can't beat it. One thing that we know, which is kind of interesting, is that they didn't use the same precautions back then in martial arts film as they do in action films today. In one scene where Bruce Lee is battling Mr. Han's bodyguard, the bodyguard takes two bottles and is like coming at Bruce Lee with them. He accidentally cuts Bruce Lee with one of the bottles, because they didn't even use fake bottles. They were real sharp bottles. And in retaliation, or I don't know, maybe it was the script, I'm not sure, Bruce Lee comes in there with a flying kick and really connects with the guy's chest. Wow. And sends him flying back into these extras. And he falls back so hard that the extras in the background, one of them actually breaks both their arms. There's no joke on Enter the Dragon, okay? This is the real deal. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix. If you see one martial arts film this year with Bruce Lee in it, it's got to be Enter the Dragon. Okay? It currently has a 97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Can't go wrong with that. How can you beat that? Answer, you can't. Next week, I'm going back to the horror genre. Next week, we'll be doing the classic space, vampire, it's a crazy action horror. It's got everything. Life Force. It is currently streaming instantly on Netflix, so check it out. Send in your questions, comments, favorite quotes, favorite scenes, anything else you want to say. Again, you can reach me on Twitter at KD9575. You can reach me on YouTube at KD9575. Don't forget to subscribe. You can also reach me on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. And don't forget to like it. And spread the word, homies, okay? As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. My style? I call it the art of fighting without fighting. And there it is. Thank you for joining us. Next week we'll be doing Life Force. Don't forget, spread the word, tell a friend. Be well.